What's up? What's up, Eisen? Yeah, today's gonna be a pretty chill day. I'm not gonna do. I think you've been here before, right? I remember you. Today's gonna be a pretty chill day. Not gonna do much video games. It's pretty much gonna be it for maybe an hour or so. Funk, gravity, parentheses, that. Let's do just null for now. Pass. So I don't have to worry about it. Expected indented block after function declaration. Let me get rid of you for a second. Just figure out expected end statement after expression found identifier instead. Let's just make that equal 0. Alright, why is this still an error? Expected end of statement after expression found identifier instead. Well, first off, this should be if input action, which is flap. That's one of the input maps, one of the inputs, which is the spacebar. Which, because it's Flappy Bird, this is supposed to make this, which is currently falling, it's supposed to simulate gravity. That's what this little tidbit does right here. That's what that's supposed to make it, just kind of give it that gravity feel. And then this is supposed to make it go like up and then down, because gravity's always making you go down, but so I first am going to make a gravity function just to get rid of this in the process delta. And get rid of that function, because this just adds that constant. I know there's a way to do it, because math. What I need is a way to kind of like make it the gravity exponential. Hold on. I'll pull up a little Flappy Bird thing to give an example. Here we go. Once it eventually loads. Ooh. Okay. So yeah. Wow. Okay, so kind of like if it'll play, Jesus. So if you see, it kind of it when it first starts, it's kind of like slows down, but then it like quickly reaches the max once it gets past like the apex. So it kind of like goes like that. Then right here, as it's going down, it's kind of kind of like speeds up to its max and then does all that really quickly. So I'm gonna get rid of that. That's what we're trying to simulate right now, but I'm not quite sure how to do that. So we're going to experiment. So the velocity, which is in this case, is vector 2, which is x and y. The y equals positive 500, which in this is making it go down, then up in some cases. Which is kind of how it is in school. So func gravity. This is probably going to take some func gravity has this func gravity velocity where previously just okay, I need to get rid of this then. Okay, that should be good. Never mind, that's not good. Oh, okay. It's because this, I would need to put gravity inside of the process, the function process, because this updates it every second, which is delta, which is 160 frames a second, so 1/60. So that should work. Yeah, there we go. Now let's see how that feels compared to this. I actually do it over here just so y'all can see. It kind of feels, I feel like it needs to be a little bit slower. Okay. Hold on, I actually need a... Okay. So it needs to be a little bit slower than it is right now. This, at least. So let's make this 450. See how that feels, so we can see, modify as needed. Yeah, that seems about good. Okay. So I feel like a way we could do it is we could set a timer for like 0.25 or something, and that's probably too long, but like for 0.1 or something, and then set the velocity to negative so it goes up. And as the timer goes on, it goes up. But then, once the timer goes, it keeps on going to the right, but then starts going down. But then it would need a something to make the thing more smooth, because I feel like it would. I don't know. Do I have MS Paint on this? That'll make this a lot easier. MS Paint. Here we go. I feel like that would make it kind of go like that instead of like that, which we need. Don't say I don't really need that. Okay. So, what did we say about this? It was, yeah, that seems about right. Flap, 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 flap. And we would need a timer. Let's make a child node for this timer. And oh, so the time, yeah, just change that to that. Make this like let's say half a second. Let's 0.5 seconds. Again, then we can do a node timeout. Let's make this to where we can access this as an actual unique name. So, and then create an onReady variable var flap timer, let's say flap underscore timer equals money sign timer. So, and then we can change. Then we would need to add okay, so after this, it would change this. We can actually just get rid of this variable. Get rid of that. If input is true for the flap, it would change the velocity to, let's say, 50, 60. Let's say it goes kind of like a boo. Not very much. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Okay. Let's keep that right there. So that's change velocity equals let's keep the I know it just got rid of this, but let's keep the variable, which was change it into flap velocity, flap strength equals 50. Let's say that, and then velocity equals vector 2 that 0 because the first one's just the x-axis, and then flap strength. So and then start timer. Start? How do you start a timer? I kind of forgot. Flap timer. Let's just get rid of the capitalize. Flap / timer dot start. And then after we would have to then create a move and slide. Move and slide. So this should need to be -50, so it can actually go up. So this should theoretically let's save this. Okay, it did not work. Parameter delta. Standalone expression. Just. Okay, so why did this not work? Function flap. Would we have to put it flap? There we go. So it's updated every. Oh my goodness. I'm a genius. But I need to just do it once. So I need this to be more like 150. Let's see how that is. Okay. That seems okay. So it needs let's take a quick look-see here. Yeah, kind of like at the apex of the one sec, let me get on to Paint real quick. At the apex, like right here, apex. Wow, okay. So at the apex, it kind of like pauses right here. Look me, Empire Software. But right here, it kind of like pauses and for a second and then falls. But then this is pretty much instant, and then this obviously like it falls currently further down. But this is pretty much instant where it goes like and then this is the space, and then that's where it goes like that. Control Shift E. One sec, I'm looking something up right now. select all, and then delete. Okay, there we go. Cool. Easy peasy. What's up, man? Okay, so this kind of, yeah, there we go. That's good. But it needs to be kind of like all in one, to where I can't hold it, and just needs to be a single flap. And you can continuously flap it, but you can't just hold it. But I'm not quite sure how to do that to make it just one. Wait, why can I move that? Move and slide? Oh, because... okay. That makes sense. Because flap, and it runs this while... Oh, I put that in function process instead of... Whoopsie. I put that in gravity instead of the process. So it was running it while in gravity, not the actual process of the actual game. Let's get rid of that. Okay, so it should still work, but now it's running. Never mind, it's not working. But I have a solution. I just need to add a move and slide. So now it should. I think it worked. It just slowed it down though. That's really all it did. Let's make that 500, just like, or 450, just to see if it cancels it out. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So to cancel it out, it would need to be, first set velocity to 0, and then set velocity. This is probably really redundant, but then set to vector 2, 0, flap strength, arrow keys. That works. So whenever I press spacebar and it's true, it sets the velocity to 0, which makes it just stand still. Then sets the velocity to negative 450, which in this case would make it go up, however much. And then it starts a timer, which it doesn't really do anything right now because I don't have anything. It sends a signal to anything. And then the move and slide, which obviously makes it move and slide if it were on the thing. So, okay. Then this is where we would, okay. So this is a problem because the function for gravity sets the velocity to 450, then slides. I'm just gonna ignore that because just say that for whatever if you see vector 2. But this updates because it's in the process every second or every frame, which is once 1 divided by 60, however many that is. But divides it or updates it every frame, which is 60 frames a second. But then it runs flap. So it runs gravity and flap at the same time. So it sets velocity to 450 and then sets this to that. Then it checks constantly every frame for that. And then if it is, it sets it to 0, flap strength to that. If it's not, let's see, set this to 500. 500, let's see about that. Okay, so that kind of works. But it's not exactly Flappy Bird. It's not the boing 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 kind of thing. So let's make a second area. No, that's not part of this if statement, which is a completely different thing actually. Let me get rid of that to where it's just, and go this, timeout, Flappy Bird. There we go. So what this is doing is it's basically just on when the timer runs out, it sends a signal from this to the parent node, which is the Flappy Bird, to the script, and it tells when the function tells this for whatever I put on it, do this when the timer runs out. And this should do what exactly? That's what I need to figure out. And just to get this red thing out of the way, I'm just gonna pass that on. So this, we still need to figure out a way to, didn't want to do that. We still need to figure out a way to deal with this. But I'm not sure how to do that. That's why we're doing this. This is okay. This is a learning process. This is a learning process. So I'm currently right now, just to cue you in on my mindset, I'm currently right now just ignoring this and figuring out what the timer was for, because I remember creating it for that kind of like extra little boost that, you know, the flap, the fly, whatever. Actually, I think I know how to make a way. We could make a variable up here. We can just get rid of this. I'm not using the ready function right now for anything. So we could create a variable flap. What would we do? Flap limit equals 0, and then for every single flap, if input flap, we would set the flap. And okay, actually I think I might be cooking. So every time this is, we would flap plus equals 1, and then after that, why is this wrong? Why is this a constant? Flap limit equals oh, what's up, man? Oh shoot, I remember you. You're a Unity dev? That's sick, man. Yeah, I'm currently teaching myself Godot. Like I have the basics, I'd say. Like I have functions, variables on ready. That so far I have most of it down. I'm getting pretty good progress. But Yeah, so why is this? It's because it's 0? Use Godot. Honestly, I haven't tried Unity or anything else. I just went with Godot because one, it was free, and two, I just heard good reviews, and after watching a couple videos about it, it just looked fun. But now I need to figure out why this is a constant, because this is a var, and to be a constant, I would have to have to type in constant. Variable flap. Oh, I'm dumb. Flap limit. There we go. Very cool. And we would then if, how do I make an if else statement in this? What's the syntax? So, like, hold on. I'll just go to the GD script docs. If else. Or if it comes down to it, I can just ask Google. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna ask. So, because I'm keeping this, I'm keeping this as kind of like a. So I was with the words coming out too fast. The way I was doing this before was I was using a tutorial. Actually, I'll look it up for you, because I would 100% recommend this tutorial. Like, this was an amazing tutorial. It was very well guided. It was very concise, fast. It was all around very good. But the problem for me was, as I was doing it, I realized I was learning, but I wasn't learning. I was just copying everything down, and the way this person did it was really good. The way they had like a theory time at the very end, but it wasn't as beneficial towards my learning style, so I wasn't actually retaining any of the stuff. But this is what I was talking about. It is. I'm gonna pause that. I'm gonna pause that if it loads. Yeah, but it's made by Brano. It's a make a Vampire Survivors clone in Godot. So how I normally do stuff is, I actually don't know, because this is the first time I've ever done something like this. This is I'm teaching myself how to code. Like, I've always been interested in this kind of stuff, but I've never done it before. Like, I've done like basic JavaScript using Codecademy. Another thing that I would recommend, if y'all don't know what Codecademy is, this is it. This is I've been taking the, I hope I don't dox myself in the process, but okay. This Codecademy, it's an amazing thing. It has a bunch of stuff, like courses for JavaScript. That's what I'm taking. I'm taking one for game development. There's Python. There's a bunch of other stuff. I would 100% recommend this. I'm obviously not paying for it. I'm doing JavaScript, but I would recommend it, especially if you're just like want to get into it for fun. But this how to make a Vampire Survivors clone. I got all the way up to, I think part maybe 12 out of 16. No, 13 out of 16. But then that's when I do agree, Python is really useful. It's also super simple. Like, back when I was really young, maybe 10, 11, I tried a little bit. I got a book called How to Code in Minecraft with Python. That was pretty interesting. Python can be useful if it's client server because of its level OS security. Yeah, I actually don't know much about that. I don't really know much about like super in-depth stuff, but I got a book a while ago, how to code with like Python and Minecraft, and just went over basic like syntax and building big blocks and structures and stuff like that. But that was when I first got introduced to the world of programming, and I've always been kind of like kept my eye on it, and I've just now recently decided to full on take a deep dive, because this is also kind of what I want to do when I get out of high school. I would say I do. This is probably not the best description, but I know like functions, variables, constant, if else statements, just kind of like very, very, very bottom level kind of stuff, but I know some. Thanks, I'll keep that in mind. I use it to make web scrapers and sometimes mini games with it and Raspberry Pi Pico. That's something I've wanted to try. So, an idea that I've had for a while is I play an instrument called steel drums. Steel drums. I'll look up a picture, just in case some of y'all don't know what that is. Sorry, my computer's very slow. But what the idea was is I'm pulling up the picture now. So what it is, it's a steel barrel that got banged in, the lid got banged in, and it got shaped into notes. Let's see. The closest one is probably this. I play a double tenor, which each one of these is a single note, but I have practice pads that's in my closet behind me. If I had a camera, I'd show you. But the problem with those is, while they can help you like practice where the placement of the notes are, and that can be good. Like, I'll admit that it can be really good, but what is bad about it is, say you want to practice a song, you can't really listen to it, and you don't really know if you get it wrong, right, or kind of like in between, or if you hit like a dead space in between, say you hit right there. But my idea was, I cannot practice, because I can practice, it's just not completely beneficial, because these are so expensive. These are like $2,000 for a single drum, or it might be $2,000 for a set, which is the double tenor. They're two, and I don't get me started on six basses. Six basses are insane. Six basses, steel pan. Let's just do images. Yeah, six basses are literally just an entire oil drum that's gives it really that big bassy. Yeah. Yeah, but oil, it's basically an entire oil drum, and they're so expensive. Like, I think these are like 10,000 maybe. I have no idea. I haven't really looked at these. I've only looked at double tenors, but they're so expensive. So my idea was I would cut out each of the little like practice pads because I'm not sure. Let me get out this. So let me do this pencil. So there's the two things, and then there's the little notes, right? Like say A, B, C, D, E, F, G, something like that. And it's like do some more of those. So cut each of these out, and then I would put like sensors underneath each, and I would know I'm going to use like maybe springs or something on the sides of each of these. So whenever I hit it with my mallet, which I use to play on each of the notes, the sensor would detect the vibration or the pressure of it and send a signal down a wire. This is where I was getting back to the Raspberry Pi that you mentioned. I've just gone to big ramble, but it would send a signal back to this, and the Raspberry Pi would play the sounds that the sounds that go along to each of the notes. So like if I hit A, it would play A, B, B. So it wouldn't be exactly like it, but it would be pretty close. I feel like that would be an interesting project, and it may turn out horrible, crappy, and I would never use it. But I feel like that would just be a fun little tidbit to do, especially just for like a home project. Yeah, basically an electrical drum. You're exactly right. That's a really good way of putting it. Yeah, I'm not surprised that this like isn't a completely original idea. This is a um kind of like electrical drums. Also, if you ever seen those sticks that like drumming sticks to where like depending on where you hit in the air it plays a different sound. Like if you hit it at where the tom hat's supposed to be, it would play a tom hat. If you kicked the drum, obviously it would play the drum, whatnot, so on and so forth. But yeah, so back to this. Oh crap, where was I completely forgot. So oh yeah, I need to figure out how to make an if-else statement on Godot. Back to the other topic. So, what I want streaming this to be is, so as I was saying, this is supposed to be, this new way is, like, I feel like would be a better way to teach me because I'm learning as I go and I'm just experimenting, and as I experiment, what I learn is becoming more enveloped into my brain. So it'll be less likely I would forget it and have to just watch a video over and over again. But this streaming this is also a way of one, so I can gather help for the community, which is you guys. So if I needed help or I can get somewhere on Google or Opera or whatever, I just decide to use ChatGPT, I could ask you guys and I could get help. Or if I do go onto this, it's a self accountability. So this helps me stay on track instead of like going onto Google and typing how to make Flappy Bird or something like that. But just look up what I went on to look up, which is how to make if else statement on Godot. And then just that. Oh, that's all I need. That's all I want, and yeah, pretty much it. So it uses a native a native language called GD scripts, but it also uses C#, which is way too advanced for what I'm using right now, or what I am capable of. Because if I remember correctly, that's like a low level language, if I'm correct. I think I'm correct on that, right? It's a low level language. It's not GD script is actually so I'm gonna say this just based off of the internet, because obviously, even though I said I used Python for a little bit when I was like 10, that was a long time ago. It's only like 5 years ago, realistically, but it's far enough that I don't remember. But GD scripts is actually really similar to Python in the level of like syntax and the structure of it. It's really similar to Python and Java in some aspects. Claude AI is better for learning instead of ChatGPT because Claude explains stuff, while ChatGPT, on the other hand, does the most simplistic explanation and isn't very good at coding. Thanks. I actually had no idea. I'd just been using like ChatGPT because that's what I defaults to. I didn't know about Claude before. But this, if not flap strength. Now, where did I put? I need to get rid of this. Take this out of that. Yeah. That's what I was saying before about Python, GD scripts being really similar to Python based on the internet. Then when func flap is executed, let's set this back to 0. If func or flap limit is less than 1. So which way is less than? This is the one thing that I always forget. Is the less than more than? It's the simplest thing known to man, but I can never remember it. So left hand is less than is my left hand, more than is my right hand. Okay. If flap limit is less than 1, I'm gonna have to look up that. That's good. Okay, I was right. I just need to add a semicolon at the end. Semicolon. Else if. Just do that, do that, do that, do that, and keep that the same. Get rid of that. I need this to be after. Then else set. What else would I need this to do? Because it's checking. So the function for flap sets flap strength to -500, and then checks if the flap limit is less than 1, which right now it is. But at the top, it also not elif flap limit. Oh. Hmm. It would need to be less than or equal to 1, because so flap limit equals 1. So equals plus equals, my bad. Plus equals 1. So yeah, this would have to do what? Wait, hold on, I need to catch up with this. I had completely zoned out and focused on that. Fairly new coding, chunk of game. You started to make web pages in HTML, JavaScript, and CSS. Then I learned Python, tried Unity until switching Godot as. Yeah, sorry. Still, my bad. So actually, let's play. Actually, could I just do elif this pass? Nope. Never mind, I can't do that. Actually, elif this pass expected conditional expression after elif. Can I not do this? Does this not work? I guess not. Start. Does this work? No, it does not. Okay. What did I break? Var flap strength equals -500. Adds 1 to the flap limit. If flap limit is less than or equal to 1, checks, then it automatically checks or constantly checks for oh no, but this wouldn't work because it's would run flap every 60 times. So if we just put, let's say, just get rid of this real quick, cut that. So if we just print flap limit, if we printed it real quick, yep, see right there, it bugs out, and then, or I would say bugs, but it does exactly what it's supposed to. But it runs that every single time because flap happens every 60 seconds, or every frame, which is 60 times a second. So let's get rid of that, this. Nope, not what I wanted. This is what I wanted. Okay, so what do we do? I think we just get rid of this in the func process. But then this is, where would we put this to get it to do what it needs to do? Would it, I feel like it would just have to be a function is, actually, I'm not sure. Actually, this might be a question for one of y'all. Is it possible, I think this might be called a, if I'm correct, this would be called like a nested loop. I could run the flap function inside of the flap function. So say I would be making this, but it would check, do all this, add that, and then it would check if the flap limit is less than or equal to 1. Could I then run the flap function inside of the flap function? I have no idea. Let's see, can I? Yeah. Okay, thank you. That gives me confidence. I'm gonna try to make this a little bit more readable. So, sets a variable of the flap strength to -500, adds flap limit once, flap limit is less or equal to 1. I'm not sure. It says I deleted it. Why did I do that? Hold on. I'll post it in the thing. There we go. It should work now because I was the one who posted it. Okay. So, if I were to run the flap function, it would, whoa, that song just made me, okay. So, I know I just said this, but variable flap strength equals -500, adds 1, to the flap limit, making that 1. If flap limit is less or equal to 1, checks if space is pressed, and if it is, it say flap, then it would run, set that again. No, I couldn't, because then it would add the flap again, and it wouldn't run this. Wait, that's good though, right? Because then that would be... Oh my god, this is so confusing. So that's good, since that would be that. So... I'm not gonna do that. That's what I'm hearing. Huh. So this flap function is for whenever, so the gravity is constant, right? So the gravity is constantly pulling this one, the say bird down. So this flap function is to give it that flap feel from Flappy Bird to make it go like boing boing boing. That's supposed to give it that. But I'm not sure how to, or like I have an idea, but I'm not sure how to put it into this. So my idea was, well, I would check if the space is pressed, and if it's pressed, I would set the velocity to 0 to cancel it out, and then set the velocity again to, yeah, and you are right about that. I know Unity has that too, and technically Godot has it, but I tried it and it's very solid, rigid. Yeah, rigid's a better word. It's very rigid. You can't really change around or mimic with it or mess around with it. And just creating your own is a lot better. It allows for more mobility with it. If you get what I mean. Just from like before I was streaming and I was just messing around with this. That was even before I had followed the tutorial that I told you all about. But this is supposed to give it that, and my idea was it would check, set the velocity to 0, and then set the velocity to that, like, give that boing feeling, and then start a timer for a specific, I think I put for like half a second, if I remember correctly. And then once that half a second is up, the what's it called? The gravity would turn back to normal, so it would give that like a flap feel, you know, that kind of like boing. But I am not sure how that would work, and that's what I'm learning right now. And I'm currently don't know where to put this flap function to get it to work. So I'm just gonna get rid of this. Function. I'm gonna put this. I know I just said that that's not gonna work for now. I'm gonna get rid of this. This. And then that just does its own thing. See? But that's also another problem to where that's why I added that flap limit, I believe that's what I called it. Because it would just constantly register every single time. So it needed to just add it once, so you couldn't click it again, or you could click it, but it wouldn't just be that constant like diagonal thing. It would have to be like boing boing. But I'm just now realizing that wouldn't work. Because that would mean you would have to touch something, or something would have to happen. I have an idea. this may be a very stupid idea. Well, I'm sure every single one of these have been stupid. So let's see if I can do this on this. Just describe it. So what I'm realizing now is this can't be a kind of like, it can be separated into different functions, but it all has to lead back into the main. So what I have realized is the single, let's get back onto this, the single bounce. So the gravity would still have to be a constant. It would still have to be constant. But the actual bounce would have to be its own individual function. So in this case, the flap. Let's see if I can write that here. There you go, the flap. So I just need to figure out how. So what I think is kind of like how I was doing this before is I set a set the velocity, so the vector 2 in this case, which is the velocity, to whatever, say it's like 100, just ballpark it to make it feel like that. So velocity would make it go up, up. So then as racer. Nope. Okay, nope, that's not working. There we go. So as it's going up, it starts a timer. So we're still going with the timer thing, but as it's going up, it starts a timer, and it goes another ballpark, 0.5 seconds. So as it's going down, it's going 0.4, 0.3, 0.2, 0.1. As it's going down, the amount of velocity that's happening is going down with it. So the jump or up would be subtracting itself by 0.1 or however much. All right, bye. I'll just call you official. Bye, official. Thanks for stopping by. But yeah, as it's going down, the velocity subtracts itself until it reaches zero. And then at that point, it would, I guess, in this case, it would have to detect, quote unquote, detect that it reached 0, and then it would change it would then go to back to the gravity function. And then it would go back to that, and it would also allow you to do this over and over, because it's just you basically starting a timer or setting the velocity to up, or in this case down, negative, because I'm not sure if it's just godot or, but this is all how everything is. But it sets the velocity to up and starts a timer, and as the timer goes down, it subtracts the velocity, and so on and so forth. I feel like that was a pretty amazing idea. I feel so unbelievably smart. But now the thing that sucks is I have to pretty much get rid of all of this. Because there's no need for a flap limit in this case, and flap timer is still a need. Gravity, obviously, is still a need. The flap, still need, but all this will be reworked at some point. Flap timer. Yeah, like, it's not that big of a block, so it's not bringing me back that much, but like, it's so far this is the past hour of work right here. this this is an entire hour. So, yes. I'm gonna be completely honest. Yeah, this is really everything in the past hour. Well, granted, I was talking a lot during it, but it's still no excuse. But I've been having fun with it. I've been having fun with it. That's really all that matters. You think the input uh detection shouldn't appear? What do you mean? Like it shouldn't it just flat out shouldn't be in the function and it shouldn't really have to detect or makes use of tabs and makes use what? Oh, okay. I gotcha. Oh, oh, I understand. So, and stop me if I'm wrong. So, if I'm reading what you're putting down, you're saying I should make the function for the flap, so the timer, velocity, all that, but leave out the function or the button detection. Okay, cool. Gotcha. So actually, I'm gonna keep this up on the separate screen because this actually is a real in my mind this actually makes a lot of sense. So again, to see if I'm catching what you're putting down, we would detect if the button got pressed instead of it being inside the function. If the function button got pressed, it would just run the function over and over and over as many times as the thing got flapped until it ran into a pipe or fell off the map. If so, that's a smart idea. You're a smart little goofy goober. We're all smart little goofy goobers here. So, flap. So, first we would need to set the velocity to velocity equals um would I need a variable for this? Or could I just set it to whatever? I think I would need a variable just to give it a base. So in case if I ever registered it again for someone somewhere else, it would have to I wouldn't have to go to every single one. So var uh flap force. I know I didn't I make the one of this a while ago, but I just laid it. Negative say 100. Like negative 100 equals vector 2 0 uh flap force. Then do you have something similar to a serialized field that you can change its value in the inspector? Uh, I don't know. I actually have no idea what you mean by serialized field. I'm not sure if that's. I feel like I feel like what you're saying makes sense, but I'm not sure if this has it. But what I'm assuming is it's kind of like a little dock somewhere on the screen to where you could just like go. Oh, I know what you mean. I think this does have it, but there's a big complicated process to make it to where you could uh change it. Change the whatnot. I think you need to make it like uh frick, I completely forgot how to do it. But I know what you're talking about, and I know there's a way. I just need to learn how to do it. This is not something I would ever figure out by my short variable that can be set up to serialized field and instead changing its code so the script has to recompile. You could change it in real time in the inspector. I got it. I understand what you're putting down, and uh, it does have it. I know it does because we used it a little bit in that tutorial that I told you about, but this is going back to that. I don't really remember much of it. I remember doing it, but I don't remember how to do it. So I need to figure out how to do it. Oh crap, I just realized the music stopped. How long did that happen? I agree mostly completely. So, I got this down. Wait, what in the world? When did that happen? We can get rid of that. Flap timer, start. Oh, there's just a space there. Okay. I was very confused on what was wrong. So, just pull that up real quick, the paint. So, set the velocity to up, which is flap force, which is -100. Start the timer, which is for half a second. And then as the timer goes down, now this is where I need to figure out how to get it done. So, this is where delta. Would I subtract it by 0.1? Probably making... So I'm just gonna put this out. I need to subtract yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, I'm not sure how often I would need to change the variable because I'm not sure how this feels exactly compared to that. But we don't need to worry about how it feels to the game. I just need to worry about how it works. Yeah, bounce. Bounce is a better way of... the bounce, I would say, if I was to time it, I'm gonna go on to the Flappy Bird thing that I've been using as a reference. This is just something that I've been using to, like... Yeah, I would say it's maybe... I'd say just one click. I'd say maybe half. Yeah, that's where it's getting the half a second from. It's just kind of, yeah, half a second. Half a second sounds good. Yeah. One Mississippi. Yeah, I would say, yeah, that's about half. That's about half. And that's what I was also thinking too. It was Now we could set it to 0.5 and adjust later on as needed. So So, way I was thinking, I could make a variable equal time and then subtract the velocity by the variable that equals the time. But that wouldn't work because that would be exponentially worse, because it would go kind of like 0.02 seconds. That sounds about right. Yeah, one sec. I'll pull up a calculator. Pull up a calc chat. Just for the chat, a calc is short for calculator. 1 divided by 60, not 0.02. We can ignore that. But on Godot, I'm not sure. I forgot if you did Godot. No, you just Unity. But Godot has delta, which is 1 frame every 60 frames every second. Which this probably should useful knowledge. How long is a single frame? Okay, so I was kind of right. It's not for 60 frames, 0.02 seconds is a fixed delta time for Unity, and it's, yeah. Actually, I have no idea what that means. I just looked it up with the all-knowing power of Google. But what I did with the calculator just now, which just 1 divided by 60 is actually how to figure out how long a single frame is. It's a 0 on Godot, not Unity, which is just 0.0167 seconds. So I would need to subtract it by maybe there might be a stopwatch kind of thing. Nope, never mind. But there's a stopwatch on my computer, if that would work, but I don't think that would kind of work. So just to reiterate, what we need is, as the timer goes down, we need to subtract the flap force by an amount fast enough to where when it hits 0 on the timer, it hits 0 on the flap force. So when the timer goes off, it wait, I'm just thinking, I know I just said that my idea with the thing is really useful. I mean, at one point it does hit 0 with the flap. The timer or the... Oh. Okay, I got it. I wonder, could we would subtract the flap force by the... Can we try? No, it doesn't hit on the flap force at one point. It does hit 0 with the flap, but it has to go back to flap force before getting back to gravity, minus flap force before gravity, just for a smoother experience. I get it. So we would subtract flap force by the time. I wonder, could we just do flap force minus flap force equals flap force minus flap timer times delta. Do I probably need to put wait. Sure, I don't mind. If you ask away, as long as it's not personal information. While you're doing that, I'll ponder over this. So, delta, it is... Would I then need to put delta in this? And this? No, because yeah, then it would have to have an argument here, which would have to be stated in here. Huh. Very confusing. Very, very confusing. Yeah. That's what I get. So it is called every frame. Delta is the elapsed time since the previous frame. So delta in Godot, pull out paint. Delta is the time between each frame, and so that is 1/60. That equals whatever I got on the calculator earlier. And it is kind of exactly as that said. It's called every single frame, so it's called 60 times a second. So each frame is 0.001666 repeating, I believe. And it's called, so the process is called every 0.001666 seconds. I'm not sure if that answers your question at all. Yeah, another way that I learned from the internet is it's also a way to get rid of I'm not sure if this is a problem on everything, but it seems like it is, to where one computer runs for game, like it runs, say this has a 5090 compared to my computer that has 1030, and just equivalent CPU, everything else. So this computer arguably or definitively runs every single 100 times better, like quintuples, sextuples, whatever. It runs everything so much better. But since it does that, it runs frames at a much higher refresh rate. So it runs each frame faster than what my computer does. And what Delta does is it gets rid of that aspect. So it runs the same on every single computer, no matter the hardware, unless the hardware is just like that bad. So that's when I think lag comes in, to where it slows it down enough to where each frame takes the same amount of time that the computer with the better hardware does. So it doesn't run any faster or slower. That's what Delta does. It makes the game perform the same on every single time, the same on every single device, no matter the specs or hardware. Not sure if that helped you at all either. Actually, speaking of which, it is currently 2 a.m. So I've been streaming for around an hour and a half. I'm gonna have to yeah. Honestly, me too, compadre. Me too. I'll sleep on it. Report back tomorrow. But yeah, I'm gonna have the stream here. I've been streaming for around an hour and a half. It was fun. I actually enjoyed this one a lot. It wasn't very stressful, or I say stressful. It wasn't very stressful. It was very mentally taxing. Let's say that. It's a lot of math. Not really, but still. Had a lot of fun. If you did too, don't forget to like, subscribe, all of that, and I will see you in the next one.